time for round 3 of the GT3 Championship hosted by Apex Online Racing. But before we get into this round, let's have a quick recap of where we are with the Drivers and Teams Championship. McKinley heads up the Drivers' Championship for Celtic Bromance with 188 points. Just 23 points behind him is Artem Reshotko. Third place is Messi Krasiak. Fourth place Furkan Hosman for Amino Assetto Motorhersteller. Jesse Halen's in 5th. Filip Šmížek is 6th. Lord Nem for Beeswax Racing is 7th. Anthony Jose is in 8th place. Philip Reuter for the Manuel Rota Racing Academy is in 9th. And Konstantin Levitsky rounds out the table in 10th place. On the Teams Championship, Celtic Bromance, McKinley and Steve Carey still head up the top of the table. 57 points behind them, it's Amino Assetto Motorhersteller, Furkan Hosman and Berkay Ras in 2nd place. Beeswax Racing, Steve Bezic and Lord Mem, we moved up 2 places following the round at Donington into 3rd place. Manuel Rota Racing Academy, Philip Reuter and Jonas Kalmwalder in 4th place. They dropped down 1 place. Gently Bentley Racing, Paul Martin and Manuel Duque, they also dropped down 1 place to 5th. Fuzzy Llamas moved up 1 place from 7th to 6th. That's Viking Rat and Stuart Pietzka, and or Pie Eater if you prefer. And in 7th place, it's Hexagon Nation, Chris Jenkins and Tobias Harkinson. So that's where we are with the championships. Let's get into the next round at Laguna Seca. The time of 123.49. He's a guest driver who's not doing the full season. He was able to make this round. Shoreland's on my endurance team, so I know he's a very quick driver. Steve Carey from Celtic Bromance qualified in 4th place with an identical time to Shoreland. But as they roll towards the lines waiting for the lights to go green, McKinley qualified in 6th place, who's currently leading the Drivers' Championship. Reshotko, who qualified in 2nd as they're away and going into the first corner, he is just 2nd in the Drivers' Championship and the closest threat to McKinley. So the race this evening very much for McKinley to try and catch and pass Reshotko, make sure he holds on to that Drivers' Championship. With the first few corners, Reshotko already moving a few car lengths clear of Steelcoat, and the rest of the field looked to get through safely into turn 1. And already through the end of the first sector, are approaching turn 5 and the climb up the hill all the way to the corkscrew, up and over and underneath the bridge, and now a sharp left turn, carry on climbing, the rest of the field stringing out behind them. Up to the corkscrew for the first time for Reshotko. Shoreland apparently is right behind him, so Shoreland made a good start into 2nd place in the McLaren. Steelcoat dropping down to 3rd. Willis in the Audi is in 4th place, and McKinley already up to 5th. Steve Carey dropping from 4th down to 7th, and myself for Beeswax Racing in 8th place, just to confuse us. Even though Steve is racing for Celtic Bromance, he's got the same livery as me. That'll keep us on our toes. Reshotko over the line in 1st place then, and Shoreland in 2nd as they go through the hairpin. Willis in the Audi had a bit of a difficult race last time round and did drop down the field. Doing well this week though, currently in 4th. But it's an early part of the race and it's a long race and very easy to make a mistake and lose a position. Sand waiting for you on either side. Through and commence climbing the hill again, up towards the corkscrew. Reshotko's lead over George is only 0.5 of a second. Really runs it right out to the edge of the track there to try and carry as much speed as he can up towards the corkscrew, and he's over the crest, braking hard and left and down the hill. McKinley up to 5th at the moment, as in Yashutchik in the 195 Ferrari. Steve Carey still holding on to 7th, closely followed by me in the twin livery in 8th place for Beeswax Racing. McCready is in 9th. Over the line again for Reshotko to start his 3rd lap. His lead now over a second. Reshotko pulling away from the front of the field. Joel and George dropping down 1.5 seconds behind. Steelco in close attendance, and then the Audi we were watching of Willis is starting to drop a little bit further behind. The gap now, third place ahead of him, 1.3 seconds. He's gone wide, he's caught the sand, and he's gone off. And he's rolling back across the track. Oh, and that was a big hit there. And that was on Steve Carrett, who's off into the side of the track. And the Audi then just spun right out of the track, he's rejoined and he's moving forward again. Won't find out where he's dropped to on the field until the next sector, but it's a long way down the field. So with McKinley, with Willis and Carey there out, it means I've managed to move up at least 2 places. So shouldn't be in 6th there for myself. Beeswax Racing, and there it goes. So Rashadko still out front. That gap to Shoreland George slowly increasing, already well over 1.5 seconds into the 1.6 seconds after just a couple of laps. Steelco is even further, 2.1 seconds behind Shoreland. So the front of the race really stretching out here. Further 2 seconds back to McKinley, who's now in 4th following the demise of Willis there, going into the sand. And it only takes one wheel into the sand at Laguna Seca and you're in big trouble. Yavushchik close behind McKinley. Will be trying to hang on to the tail. McKinley's been very quick all season so far, so Yavushchik will do well to hold on to the back of the Ferrari ahead of him. Might help drag him forward to the front of the race. And I am in 6th place. Pretty close to Yavushchik ahead of me. And McCready in close attendance right off my bumper. Paul Martin for Gently Bentley, who are all in Ferraris now, in 8th place with his teammate Manuel Duque right behind him. So 2 of the Gently Bentley drivers inside the top 10. McKinley for Celtic Bromance and myself for Beeswax Racing. My teammate not present this week, so it could be a bit of a worry for the team championship with Paul Martin and Manuel Duque both inside the top 10 and just myself representing my team. And McKinley's with Steve Carrett, who has dropped all the way down to 26 and has had to pit for repairs following that incident. So a terrible start to the race for Steve Carrett, already dropping to the back of the field. He's going to have a long drive now. If he ideally won't pit again, and he'll try and make up places before the end of the race. Rashadko's lead now after just 4 laps is over 3 seconds at the head of the field. Massive difference in pace for Rashadko. He's also incredibly quick on qualifying, well over half a second clear of the rest of the field. Steelco in 3rd place, 3 seconds behind, but as McKinley breathing right down his neck now, the gap behind him less than a second. And Yavushchik in the 195 Ferrari behind McKinley has dropped right off the pace. Gap is 2.2 seconds, so maybe he caught a bit of the sand himself and slipped backwards. So the front 4 moving away from the rest of the field with this gap of over 2 seconds to 5th place Yavushchik. 833 Beeswax Ferrari close behind. Another Ferrari with McCready in P7. Come down the corkscrew. Again, moving towards the start-finish line. McKinley now right on the tail of Steelco, gap of less than a second. Has he already made the pass? I think he has, yes. McKinley goes up the inside of Steelco. And moves ahead to go into 3rd place. Only took him 6th in the 6th lap they are now, and he's moved up from 8th in qualifying to 3rd on the track. Steelco slips down to 4th. The gap behind him now to Yavushchik is only a second. Steelco will try and follow McKinley, but it's going to be a tough act, I think. Moving away at a credible rate of knots. McCready close on the back of the Beeswax Racing Ferrari now. It's perhaps the closest battle inside the top 10. Halen in 12th place in the Aston Martin. Don't know how he's ended up down there. He's usually doing very well, Halen. He's doing quite well in the Drivers' Championship. Becchia in the number 8 Lamborghini in front of him. Quite difficult to pass to Laguna Seca, although opportunities will present themselves from time to time. McCready close on the tail of the Ferrari of Beeswax Racing. Haaland coming down the corkscrew. Gap to Becchia opens up a little bit. Hard to follow somebody really closely through this part of the track. Through the final corner and down the start finish straight. Steve Curry now 3 laps down following that incident at the opening part of the race. Very, very long, big hill to climb to get back into this race. Haaland continues to follow Becchia closely. Traffic already as the 6th and 7th place cars come across. Slow moving. It's not Steel Co, is it? Nope, Steel Co still in 4th. Very hard to tell who's who it is in the darkness. But McCready's having a look up the inside of the Beeswax Ferrari, nowhere near close enough going into the corkscrew. But he's put the Ferrari off enough. The Beeswax goes across the gravel and McCready goes round. Beeswax is back up to speed pretty quickly. And he goes wide behind. Is that Juszczyk? He just went a bit wide behind Beeswax. I think it was. So almost an opportunity there for Juszczyk. But couldn't pull it off. Juszczyk must have made a mistake there to drop behind the pair of them. So Steel Co up to 4th. Beeswax Racing into 5th. Apologies, McCready had just done that past sector update, so McCready into 5th, Beeswax Racing 6th. Juszczyk is down in 7th, trying to hang on to the back of Beeswax Ferrari. Paul Martin is only half a second behind Juszczyk. It's a big gap behind for his teammate for Gently Bentley. Manuel Duque is now 3.6 seconds away from Paul. And Simon Carson, who you may recall got a little bit involved in the leaders last week at Donington, is now in 10th position, 2 seconds off Manuel Duque. Haaland still hanging on to the back of Becchia's Lamborghini. Ryszardko's lead out front now, 4.1 seconds as he comes down the hill to finish off another lap. Just coming up to the final corner. Joel and George, over 4 second gap now behind the leader. He's got McKinley breathing down his neck already, so McKinley's come a long way back from down the field from qualifying. He's already trying to get through to take 2nd place. Steel Co looks a little bit like a cork in a bottle now. Slowly fallen back through the field, qualified in 2nd, now in 4th. Got McCready right on his bumper. He's trying to have a little look there as he come in towards the hairpin for turn 1. Beeswax Racing in 6th place, right behind McCready. Juszczyk in the 195 Ferrari, also in this little train. Paul Martin just slipping 1 second off the back of the train, and his teammate Manuel Duque still 3.3 seconds behind. Haaland still hanging on to the back of Becchia's Lamborghini in 12th. Good finish last week at Donington for Haaland. Winning some good points for the Drivers' Championship. Ryszardko continues to just drive away from the field at the front of the race at the moment. Through the corkscrew again. Quite a short lap here at Laguna Seca. The gap now for the leader is 5 seconds. Joland behind McKinley, who's got past him at some point on that lap. Joland down to 3rd, McKinley into 2nd. Read it still on the back of Steel Co. It looks to have dropped back a little bit there. Steel Co was just ahead. So the sector time's not updated there. Now it's 0.8 of a second. Beeswax Racing. Ferrari still close behind McCready. Javuščík is off the track. Javuščík's made a mistake there. And that's dropped him a long way down the field. Paul Martin going to get through. I think Javuščík's going to drop out of the top 10 possibly with that mistake. Flying out to the next sector. Gap for Shoreland George to McKinley is opened up considerably in just one lap, 1.3 seconds. So Rashadko and McKinley really looking on a different planet to everybody else at the moment. Shoreland is a guest driver. I know he's got good pace, but that gap then to Steelco behind was 7 seconds. The first top three definitely moving away from the whole of the field at the moment. Steelco leads out, McCready coming down the corkscrew. For a moment, had he gone off track then? Difficult to follow at night. Beeswax Racing, and because of Javuščík, if Javuščík managed to hang on to 9th, which was lucky, it did look to be a long way off track. But that means now that the two Gently Bentley drivers are just behind the Beeswax Racing team, with no Lord Nem this week. I can't remember which shabby excuse he came up with. I did ask him if beer was involved, which he denied completely. And makes it more likely there was beer involved, I think. But he wasn't able to join this week, so I've got to carry the team on my own. And Mulduke still 3 seconds off his teammate. McCready still putting the pressure on Steelco up ahead. Meanwhile, at some point behind, Halen did get through on Beckett. Oh, we got a back marker. Is that a back marker or is that a defending Ferrari? They're just all over the track then. I think it is. It's Carson. You can't really zigzag around like that if you've made a mistake. He was really blocking off Halen then, but Halen's through on Carson. So that'll be Halen moving into the top 10. Carson still trying to have a look up the inside as they come up towards the left-hander towards the corner. And he's definitely thrown it down there. Definitely trying to have a go, but Halen hung on, drove around the outside. And that's allowed Beckett to come through as well. So Carson in the Ferrari going backwards at the moment. Got another car right on his tail as they come down the corkscrew. It'll be Beckes in the 25 Ferrari looking for any way past Carson there as he clearly got onto the wrong line on track and was losing a bit of speed through the corners, allowed Becky and Halen to get past him. Carson under quite a lot of pressure at the moment. Only 15 minutes into the race, already a lot of position changes. Up front, McCready keeps getting close to Steelco, and then that gap keeps opening up again. As we climb up towards the corkscrew. Oh, he's gone really wide there. That's a mistake, so that will definitely allow Steelco to get away. Will it be a big enough mistake to allow the Beeswax Racing Ferrari to get up the inside for the corkscrew? Not enough. Managed to brake it and get the brakes done in time as well to make the corner. A little opening there for Beeswax, but not enough. McCready stays in front and in 5th. This group now starting to pull away from Paul Martin behind. The gap is 3 seconds. Paul Martin starts to lose contact with the 4th, 5th and 6th ahead of him. Manuel Duque, his teammate, now 6.2 seconds off the pace from Paul Martin, so there's definitely a huge gap evolving between first 7 and the rest of the field. Becchia and Halen still pretty close to each other. Becchia here in the Lamborghini, just 0.8 of a second. Carson, it shows him hanging on a little bit there, but yeah, it was a change of position there, wasn't it? Nobody boxed. Halen now in 9th. Javuščík further down the field. Javuščík was in 9th position, but has tumbled further down. Must have made another mistake somewhere. Rashadko still leading the race. Comfortable 5.2 seconds ahead of McKinley, who gets the corkscrew slightly wrong there. But I think he may well have got away with that one. That will allow Rashadko to open up that gap a little bit more. Shoreland now 6.7 seconds away from McKinley. So it's not taken long for McKinley and Rashadko to move well clear of the rest of the field. Steelco, who's been having a bit of a battle on his hands, he's had to monitor what's going on behind him quite closely, is 5.5 seconds down on Shoreland. It would perhaps be fair to say that possibly Steelco is a bit of a cork in the bottle. McCready and Beeswax Racing both really tight on his tail now for quite a number of laps. Paul Martin had slipped to 3 seconds down, but now he's 2.9 seconds down, and now 2.6 seconds down. So Paul Martin is slowly starting to close in on these three. So Steelco definitely a bit of a cork in the bottle, it would appear. Shoreland and the other leaders managing to move away whilst they're unable to get through, and Art McCready making a mistake again. They're right on the sand, but again gets away with it. Doesn't lose enough pace to allow an opportunity for the Beeswax Racing car to come through. Does ease the pressure on Steelco a little as he's able to move away. Halen now closing in on the back of Duque. Now Duque has just switched to that Ferrari. He may not be too familiar with how it handles or how to get the best out of it. He's moved to a mid-engine car from the front-engine Bentley, which he's driven for many, many seasons. Really, the Bentley now in ACC is no longer a viable option if you want to be competitive. Through the corkscrew. Halen closing in slowly but surely. Halen has finally moved away from Becchia. The gap there is 1.7 seconds behind Halen, so either Becchia made a bit of a small mistake and put one of his tyres on the sand, or Halen has really got his foot down and has driven away. Behind Bradbury is very close to the rear end of Carson. I think he may be through already there. There's no cars in front of Bradbury. Chick. Carson pitted. He has indeed, so Carson pits. Allows Bradbury to get through in 111 Lamborghini. Vushchik has probably gone a bit backwards. Oh, he's gone well wide there. Big mistake from Bradbury there, and he caught a lot of the sand. On defensive, I think Vushchik was trying to find a way around. Just clipped it. But Bradbury's on the wrong bit of the track now. He's far over to the left. He won't be able to go through the next corner too quickly. Just manages to hang on, but they're all queuing up behind him to have an attack. And the Mercedes took way too much speed in there, I think. Clipped the back of Bradbury and they're both off into the sand. Allow Vushchik to move back up the field a little bit. Halen, meanwhile, is closing in on Duque. Creedy hanging right onto the back of Steelco. Gap only 0.2 of a second. And they're coming across more traffic. A lot of drivers having a lot of trouble at Laguna Seca, which isn't unusual. So traffic may become a factor in this. Look like a BMW pulls right over to the left to let go 4th, 5th and 6th through. Beeswax Racing has dropped slightly off these pair. Paul Martin, having moved closer to this group, has dropped right back off again. 4.6 seconds is the gap. Halen still hanging on to the back of Duque. Go up towards the corkscrew. He looks to be on his own there. Steelco made a mistake at last. Looks like he has. Looks like McCready finally found a way past Steelco. So McCready moves up to 4th place. Steelco drops to 5th, and the Beeswax Racing's car is still looking for a way through. This will allow McCready to possibly pull away now, as the Beeswax Racing car also looks to try and find a way past Steel Coat. About 24 minutes into the race. A bit early yet for pit stops. The undercut may be the way to go in this one. Paul Martin encountering a bit of traffic himself, and looks like the same BMW we just went past. Meanwhile, Beeswax Racing following Steel Co up towards the corkscrew. Paul Martin has gone. Duque's now in 7th, so Paul Martin must have made a mistake somewhere. Duque's through. There's an 8-second gap behind Beeswax Racing to Duque. And it's mostly down, I think, to mistakes being made behind. Not about any super duper pace from myself. Halen still hanging on to the back of Duque, is he? Or has he found a way through? Because it looks like he's passed to me. So Halen through into 7th place. Duque slips behind. All going wrong for Gently Bentley. Halen well clear. And is that Duque boxing? It is indeed. So something may have happened to Duque. Oh, he's clunked the pit wall. Something certainly happened to him there. Very difficult entrance into the pits at Laguna Seca. It's a really sharp left-hander. Beeswax Racing still stuck behind Steel Co. Shodco now still leading out front. His lead is now 5.8 seconds. McKinley looks to have stabilised that a little bit. It's been 5-6 seconds now for quite a while. Behind him, McKinley has an 11.5 second lead over Shortland George. So it would appear that the winner is definitely going to be one of those two. Shodco or McKinley, I would think. Acredi has got a bit of a track ahead of him. It's a 5.5 second gap nearly to Shortland George ahead of him. Steel Co has dropped 2 seconds behind McCready already. Possibly tyres or the track conditions getting to Beeswax Racing, who's pitting early. To confirm there was a lot of crew chief input from people watching my race on YouTube, all giving me advice that perhaps the undercut was the way to go. So we went for an early pit stop at Beeswax Racing, hoping that we could get out and get some good lap times and get ahead of Steel Co. It's proving very difficult to get past anybody. So pit stops have started, and obviously if I got actually in the right place for my pit stop, that would help. And the crew vet changing the tyres. That really opens up the gaps. There's no real close battles. UK has rejoined the track. There looks to be a few car lengths there behind his teammate Paul Martins. Might take a while for the computer to shake things out in terms of track position as well. Raziak in the 313 Porsche. Now close behind Carson in the 897 Ferrari. Field spreading out now as the pit stops start for most of the field. Still perhaps a little early, but only by a couple of minutes. And there might be somebody who decides to stay out for a long time. The track was very, very cold, and actually track status got worse as the race went on due to the coldness, and Kunos added in early morning dew effect because people had found an exploit where they could set incredibly fast lap times on a cold track. To combat that, when the track conditions get very cold, the game automatically introduces like a dew effect to make things more tricky and slow the cars down. And I think that got to us during this race when the track temperature got to 9 degrees. All of a sudden the condition of the track went from optimum to fast, and the lap times suffered as a result, and it could certainly catch a few people out, and certainly may have caught McCready out, because now the gap from McCready to Steel Co just less than 0.5 of a second. Right back on the back of him again. Beeswax Racing is back on track, but it's really when the pit stops happen for these cars and where they'll shake out afterwards. It looks like McKinley's also gone for a bit of an undercut. Dropped down to 7th and back out on track. Rashadko has kept on going. But again, that option to stay out and keep your tyres warm could be a powerful one, because you've got to get your tyres back up to temperature once you emerge from the pits. Meanwhile, Beeswax Racing now into 9th as other drivers start to pit. Halen, after he's rejoining the track, so he's showing 10th at the moment, but may well drop down a place or two. That looked like Paul Martin behind him, so I think he may be in 11th. It depends where Elford is in this Mercedes. Beeswax in 9th, 18th second. I think Phil has to pit and will drop out of the picture, because McKinley, who was in second, easily in second before the pit stops, is in 7th at the moment. Beckier, yeah, people are moving up as Beckier comes into the pits. Beckier stayed out. Rashadko just going down the corkscrew at the moment. In the lead of the race. Is he going to take his opportunity to pit? It comes towards the end of this lap. Just under the 30-minute mark, and indeed he does. Rashadko pits for tyres. He's seeing everybody else going in, and the safest bet when you're in the lead is to follow what everybody else does. A number of cars just waiting to set off. This may well put Shawland into the lead, but that gives you an idea of the gap. Shawland was, before the pit stops, was in 3rd. And we've seen Rashadko come into the pits, get to his box and commence his pit stop. And then, only then, does Shawland even enter the pits. And McCready temporarily promoted into 1st place, I believe, as Rashadko and Shawland are in the pits. Using the old Nins trick of staying out for as long as you can to get the lead of a race for at least 1 point. Beckier should move into 2nd, unless Rashadko's only just setting off, so Beckier will move into 2nd temporarily. Rashadko moving down the pit lane. Very, very tight here actually. McKinley's coming down the start-finish straight, and I'm not sure Rashadko's going to get up to speed enough. So McKinley somehow looks to have taken the lead of the race during the pit stops. So McKinley is already into turn 2, sorry. Turn 2, turn 3 and 4, and that looked like Rashadko in the background. So the lead of a race being switched over during the pit stops. Given the pace of these two, I'm not sure Rashadko's going to be able to get back at McKinley. Computer thinks the gap is already 3 seconds. McCready and Beckier will drop away. Shawland is in 3rd. And it all depends on McCready's pit stop for Beeswax Racing. Because once Beckier and McCready drop out, could be up to 4th place for Beeswax Racing car. My ears will pop being that high up the field. Gap behind Beeswax to Halen is 7 seconds. But there's 30 minutes to go. That's perfectly closable. Paul Martin is in 8th. His teammate Mamalduque in 9th. Simon Carson, is in 10th position. And he's managing to hold on to that. Steelco, who was right up there for a lot of a race, has tumbled all the way down to 11th place, but is right behind the Ferrari of Carson. Beckier in the pits, so should drop down the field. Can't tell from that angle which part of the track. I think that might be the last corner. It is. The Beeswax Racing team will definitely get past Beckier, who's still stationary. Shawland quite a way up the track really, so only McCready box, and there he goes. He's rejoining the track, McCready, so it's where Beeswax Racing is in relation to McCready. I think we just come around the hairpin and McCready's already up to speed. So McCready holds on to that lead ahead of Beeswax Racing, and there's a lot of traffic there as well that may get involved in this. Ferrari's really dominating the track at Laguna Seca. Ferrari's in P1, P2, P4, P5, P7, P8, P10, P11, 14, 15, 16. There's just one McLaren in third, an Aston Martin in sixth, and a Lamborghini in ninth out the top 10. The closest Porsche is 12th. Oh, and Becky is obviously dropping down. I mean, just re-emerged from his pit stop. So Steelco goes back into 10th position, but he was in second for quite a while, so not great for Steelco at the moment. And now everything's settled out. The gap between Beeswax and McCready is just 3.1 seconds. So always perfectly possible that gap is closable. McKinley out front. That gap stabilised for his lead as 3 seconds over Rashadko. Something went wrong in the pit stops for Rashadko there. 2.8 seconds. Going to try and come back at him. It'll take a while. It could be towards the end of the race. We've only got about 26 minutes to go. Shoreland quite a long way down on the leaders in third place. But McCready slowly closing in on him. 16 seconds is the gap from the leaders to Shoreland. McCready, perhaps the driver under pressure, he's going to try and catch up with Shoreland. Get a podium spot. He's got the Beeswax Racing Ferrari closing in on him. And Halen, that's also a factor with the amount of time we've got left towards the end of this race. Raziak is closing in on Ramshield. Porsche v Porsche. I must apologise as well to Ramshield. I thought he was in the commentary in the last race. I thought he was the car I caught at the end of the race. I had forgotten, of course. It was Trippiana in the Porsche, who I don't think is racing this week. Very low turnout this week. Only 25 drivers currently on track. And it was well into the mid-high 30s around at Donington. So I don't know if drivers perhaps had a bit of a conflict. We've already gone through Lord Nem's beer excuses that he normally comes up with for not being able to make a race. I think he said something about work, but I think we all know which more likely to be out of beer and work. He wasn't here, and I was, and I'm in fifth. And I can gloat over him for that one all the time. McKinley's lead now down to 2.6 seconds. As they head up towards the corkscrew, so Rashadko is slowly hauling McKinley back in. Gap behind to Shoreland does appear to be opening up. Was 17 seconds then at the last sector. Beeswax Racing is slowly chipping away at that gap to McCready. It's under 3 seconds now. And Halen was 6-7 seconds. It's 5.5. Not coming down quite as quickly as the gap between McCready and Beeswax, I think. Paul Martin in 7th is 6.9 seconds, nearly 7 seconds off. Halen, I think, is pulling away from the Gently Bentley team. Steve Carson, Simon Carson. We'll get that right one day. I must know a Steve Carson somewhere. Carson is in 9th place and has managed to ease the gap ahead of Steelco up to a second, making him a little bit more comfortable. Krasiak still tailing. Ramshield is perhaps the closest battle for the rest of the field. Gap for Shoreland now 18 seconds, so he's definitely falling back slowly but surely. And Beeswax Racing trying to close in on McCready ahead. Currently looking at my best result for probably a few seasons, to be honest. Outside of practice races, but they don't really count. Krasiak is dropping a bit behind Ramshield now. He's going to be able to close that gap up. He's going to close the gap and make a pass. That looks a lot more than 2 seconds, so something must have happened on the previous lap. Ramshield got a comfortable gap now over that Porsche. No. Back to Beeswax Racing, trying to close in on McCready, gap 2.6 seconds. Halen, it's just closing for Halen, about 1/10 of a second per lap, with a gap of over 5 seconds. I'm not sure that's going to be enough to be able to catch the drivers ahead. McCready is slowly also chipping away at the gap to Shoreland, just in the forefront of the shot there. Now, probably worth noting that whilst Shoreland is not in the team with me for this season, we are in the same endurance team, so we do have a level of cooperation. Shoreland's got nothing to drive for in this championship, he's just guessed in for the odd race, so McCready may not realise it, but he is in a bit of a beeswax sandwich. And we will be able to work with each other to try and get past him. We'll have to see how it goes. Shoreland is really dropping back now from the leaders. The gap up ahead is 18 plus seconds. There must be traffic behind. The Audi, actually. Is it the Audi? Oh, Willis has dropped all the way down to 19th. Keeps having difficult races, Willis. Saw him go off. It is Willis in the Audi that's in between them. Go off earlier on and get involved in that incident with Steve Carey. But maybe he seems to have good pace, as Willis. Or perhaps it's that consistency of being able to do lots and lots of laps that's a little bit lacking at the moment, or something for him to focus on. McCready now under 2 seconds behind Shoreland, with the Audi in between. The Beeswax Racing car struggling a little to keep in contact, that gap up to 2.7 seconds. McCready goes up the inside of the Audi of Willis. Goes through a little wiggle there as he accelerates away. The gap to Shoreland is just 1.6 seconds. Beeswax Racing next to try and get past the Audi to try and stay in contact with these leaders. Hassan, meanwhile, has closed quite a bit on Duque. Less than half a second now. Ilko is just hovering in the background as well. Huge gap then though between 10th and 11th. Becky is now 6 seconds off the leaders. McCready trying to close in for that podium place up ahead. 1.7 seconds. And it's yo-yoing a little bit. Beeswax Racing is still behind the Audi of Willis, but the gap is only just over 2 seconds now. Half a second made up in that one lap. And down towards the hairpin again. Turn 1 and 2. Willis going to go wide. Indeed he has. This goes wide again. Thank you very much, Willis. So 5th place car slips through. It's all coming together for these leaders. Hassan trying to follow Duque closely, but he's too far away to attack. Into T1. Duque just has to make sure he doesn't make a slip up, because Hassan's close enough to try and slip through straight away. Where's Paul Martin gone? Paul Martin's had a bit of an incident. He was ahead of Duque originally in 7th place, and now he's down in 10th again. Something happened to Martin. The Gently Bentley team having a few problems. Duque is now under pressure in 7th place. Carson tries to have a little look as they start to climb up the hill towards the corkscrew. Oh, he's gone wide. That's a big mistake by Duque, and Carson will be straight through. And Steelco, I think he's trying to follow as well at the same time. I think Steelco's got it done too. Oh, side by side, a little bump. I think there was a fair pass there by Steelco. Duque lost all his momentum going onto the sand. Possibly didn't realise that Steelco was going to be following through Carson alongside him, so they came together slightly. But really the mistake for Duque was catching the sand, so disaster for Gently Bentley. They were in 7th and 8th, and now they're 9th and 10th. Carson, the gap ahead of him is 13 seconds, and that sounds too much to cover with only about 18 minutes left of the race. Meanwhile, up ahead, McCready still trying to chip away that gap to Shoreland, hovering at 1.4 seconds. And the Beeswax Racing Ferrari also hovering at 2.3 seconds. It's a bit closer. No, it doesn't. No, it looks about right. Oh, somebody's right off the track there. I don't think that was McCready. No, it wasn't. Oh, the back markers I just saw off the track and in the gravel trap. A little bit off-putting when you see that. Ilko trying to hang on to the back of Carson, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a lot bigger gap now than it was than when they went past Duque. Becchia trying to close up on the back of Paul Martin. They're going to make that work. The real battle, I think, towards the end of this race is for third place. Shurland hanging on. McKinley and Rashadko are in a different league, really, out front with a huge gap. And the gap from McKinley to Rashadko is over 4.5 seconds, so I'm not sure Rashadko has got enough to be able to catch McKinley. We've got Shurland now within touching distance of McCready. The gap is less than a second. But still, the Beeswax Racing Ferrari is trying to catch them both. Look to be a quickish lap here from the Beeswax Ferrari. 2.1 seconds now the gap. Like I said, Shurland and myself are all on the same squad, but McCready went wide on his own there, and that will have cost him a little bit of time. Perfectly possible that Shurland's thinking about backing up McCready. So we can all come together. Yeah, the gap now between McCready and Beeswax is just 1.3 seconds. Not long left in this race now. Only about 15-16 minutes. Turns 1 and 2. And 1 is a little kink on the straight, which doesn't really seem to count as a corner. And 2 is the hairpin. Going through turn 4 now, and then turn 5 really is the start of the climb up towards the corkscrew. McCready less than a second behind Shurland, and the Beeswax Racing Ferrari now is 1.5 seconds behind number 10 Ferrari of McCready. Halen has not been able to close the gap on these drivers. Gap steady now at 6 seconds behind the Aston Martin. Ilko really close in on Carson. McCready's getting really close to having a look at Shurland. There's a little car length out. We've got traffic ahead though, but it's on the start-finish straight. Nearly we'll see it's the leaders coming through, and yeah, really pulled out of the way. Thanks very much to that driver. Don't think you need to slow down that much though. Virtually stopped. Yeah, don't lose too much time when you let leaders through. You can just ease off a little bit. Keep closing up on Carson for 6th, 8th and 7th. It doesn't seem to get close enough to be able to have a good attack. Reedy though is really close now to Shurland. Again, start climbing the hill over the bridge and through the left-hander. Sit on the track this time, goes McCready. Still too far back to really make an attack into the corkscrew. Only a second now that the Beeswax Racing Ferrari is off the back of McCready. Didn't look too comfortable there for Shurland. He seems to catch a lot of curb coming out of the corkscrew. He's managing to stay ahead of McCready. 3rd, 4th and 5th. Around the final corner again and down the start-finish straight. Shurland getting a little defensive, moving over to the left, cover the inside. down the hill past the little kink of turn 1 into the hairpin. Nice and tight on the inside to make sure the Ferrari has to stay behind. And now all three of them have virtually within a second of each other. Third, fourth and fifth. Now McCready under pressure from behind as the Beeswax Ferrari closes right up to his bumper. Hill towards the corkscrew. Now he's caught the sausage. McCready caught the sausage there going through turn 6 before the corkscrew put him into the gravel trap. So Beeswax Racing slides right through into 4th place. And there's an Aston Martin there. Was that? Oh, that must be England, is it? No, it looked like an Aston Martin off the track. Oh, there's another one. There's a Smith. Would have been Smith. He's recovering. Always something to put you off when you're biting your nails. So now it's Shoreland and Beeswax, followed by McCready, who lost about 2 and a bit seconds there. Did a good recovery, really, McCready, to get back going again so quickly. Now it's Beeswax Racing time to attack Shoreland. I am usually not faster than my teammate, I can assure you that. Shoreland's a very quick driver. But I'm going to do my utmost. 3rd place would be really good. I certainly won't want to be gifted a 3rd place. I'd want to be able to earn it on my own rights. Through turn 5, start to climb up again towards the corkscrew. Read it. 2.9 seconds. His tyres will have been dirty from that trip into the gravel trap. It will take him a lap or 2 probably to clean his tyres up and get going again. Closing right up there on the McLaren. If I recall correctly, my tyres suddenly went quite good at this point, and I was able to really sort of start making a bit of a drive forward. I struggled a little with my tyres, seemed to go off a little midway through the race, or midway through my 2nd stint. Wilco alongside Carson. Saw the gap closing then, and he's being very, very careful, Steelco, of Carson behind him, but they're managing to stay away from each other. Oh, that's got a good, really good pass there by Steelco on Carson to take 7th place. Carson throws it up the inside again, and Steelco has to get out of it. Somehow Carson holds on to that place, Steelco behind. Meanwhile out front, Beeswax Racing slipping slightly off the bumper of Shoreland. It was a bit scary to sit right off the back of somebody all the way around the lap, especially here, because you've really got to be able to spot those brake markers. McCready 2.4 seconds behind, slowly starting to crawl back the gap, and we're into lap 36, so not long left to go really. Only about 10 minutes of the race left. We went a little bit wide there in the corkscrew. And where has Shoreland gone? Shoreland's off the track, so goodness gracious, at the moment Shoreland made a mistake there going up the corkscrew whilst we were watching McCready, I think. And wow, up into a podium position, which would be my best finish ever. So definitely getting a bit nervous inside the car now. McCready continues to close in. I think Shoreland going off was caused a bit of a lift, so McCready's now only 1 second behind. 2 leaders, McKinley and Rashadko, are miles away. But there's quite an intense battle for 3rd and 4th. Steelco looks to have dropped off a little bit. Now the gap behind Carson is 1.2 seconds. That may have been his big attack for the end of the race. Right now, Beeswax Racing desperately trying to hang on to the lead over McCready, which is coming down by every minute. Leading every corner now. It's 0.8 going for the corkscrew. Ilko is trying to close in again on Carson for 6. Really got Shoreland Deer is down in 9th now. Paul Martin has dropped behind as well. Porsche of Ramshield. Gap third down to 0.8. Into the 38th lap. Not many laps left to go. Down to 0.7. Ramshield's right on the bumper of Shoreland. With respect to Ramshield, I think Shoreland may have a bit more pace than that as he gets his tyres cleaned up. Up the hill again towards the corkscrew. And the gap. Last sector it was 0.8. It looks a little bit less than that to me now. Looks like about 0.5, not less. The crest. And goes deep into the sand. The same mistake as last time, and then McCready gets the pass done in the same place. So that podium slipping away from Beeswax Racing. McCready slides through. I think the tyres were just not obeying what you wanted them to do at this point of the race. I saw a lot of people sliding as the tyres went off. And the track got cold, so McCready goes through to take 3rd. Beeswax down to 4th. Steel Coat looking at Carson again, coming down the corkscrew. Not close enough, but there's a lot of traffic now appearing amongst the leaders, and that, well, may be a factor in enabling a pass to happen. Carson flashing his lights there. That back marker to let them know. Is that the Audi again of Willis? It is. Willis always seems to get in the action in this race. He usually goes wide into the hairpin and lets the other cars go up the inside. Kind of semi does the same again this time, but the Carson and Steel Co are not quite close enough. Meanwhile, Beeswax is trying to keep the pressure up on McCready. Steel Co must be hoping he's going to get an opportunity here with this traffic to have an attack on Carson. Up the hill they go, and everybody's pulling over for them. Ramshield trying to have a go at Shoreland. I don't think you do a pass there. You've got to do it in the corkscrew, really, I think. It's all happening everywhere at once. The corkscrew to go. Shoreland's through cleanly. Steel Co. Still stuck behind Carson. As Beeswax Racing is stuck behind McCready. It's only half a second, so really close finish for all of these drivers. Coming down into the hairpin, but I think Steel Co is too far behind Carson there to make that one. Ramshield still having a look at the inside of Shoreland, but not close enough. Be careful in the braking. No contact made. Beeswax Racing following McCready through the corkscrew again. Only a few minutes left of this race. Time is running out for everybody, as was the grip. Go now dropping quite a number of car lengths behind Carson. Ramshield trying to hang on to the back of the McLaren of Shoreland. Corkscrew again. Martin hovering in the background, dropped down to P11. Beeswax Racing still trying to keep the pressure on McCready. Gap now nearly 9/10 of a second. That will go up and down as the lap progresses. Steelco also trying to put pressure on Carson. Going of a hairpin, really able to close up there on the braking. And Ramshield trying to have a go at Shoreland. Aaron well ahead there. Steelco up the inside of Carson. We got there just in time. Must have managed to set him up. That looked a good, clean pass. I don't think Carson's going to be able to come back from that one. All Steelco needs to do now is keep his cool, not put his tyres in the sand like that, and try and get through the corkscrew cleanly ahead of Carson, and then should be able to hopefully build a little bit of a gap before the next time they come around. A couple of car lengths clear there. Carson can avoid overdriving, trying to get back past. He should be able to remain in contact. Carry the fight through for another lap. Looks clear, so Carson up into... Sorry, Steelco up into 6th, Carson down to 7th. Let's see what happens on the hairpin this time round. Close to each other. Good car length there, as long as Steelco can keep it pretty tight in the hairpin, which he does do, and keep it clean on the next couple of corners. Should be, he's pulled a good few car lengths there out of Carson. Should be safe that place. Meanwhile, Ramshield up the inside of the McLaren, but Shoreland's got the better defensive position. Corners. Switchback, but he's in the wrong place there to take his next corner quickly as a Porsche. He's got Paul Martin right behind. A lot of sand for both Martin and the Porsche there, I think. Ramshield under a lot of pressure from Paul Martin now from behind. Keeps catching the sand a little bit. Towards the corkscrew. Again, of course, really trying a fast line there. Got a bit of a wiggle coming out. Might give an opportunity to Paul. Nope. That marker leaping out of the way there to try and get out of the way of this very tight battle. Beeswax Racing within 0.2 of McCready up ahead. So let's go through the official race results from round 3 at Laguna Seca. Another victory for McKinley. Celtic Bromance comes in first place. Artem Reshodko was second and Thomas McCready was in third place. Unbelievably, one of my best results. Steve Bezic for Beeswax Racing came in fourth. Jesse Halen 5th. Steelco 6th. Simon Carson 7th. Mamalduke for Gently Bentley Racing, having switched to the Ferrari, which certainly seems a lot better for him, was 8th. Shoreland George, a guest driver this week, he's not been able to partake in all the rounds, came in 9th. Paul Martin, the other Gently Bentley driver, came in 10th. Going further down the field for the other team's drivers, Tobias Harkinson for Hexagon Nation came in 21st place. Steve Carey for Celtic Bromance was at 22nd, and Viking Rat for Fuzzy Llamas was 24th. What does that mean for the Drivers' Championship? Well, that's a second win for McKinley, and combined with that second place, he's now got a strong lead for Celtic Bromance out front, 35 points clear of Artem Reshodko, who remains in second place. Moving up 2 places as a result of this race, Jesse Halen moves into third place, whilst Maciek Krasiak drops down 1 place into fourth. Birken Hosman for Amino Assetto Moto Hersteller didn't start for this round. He drops down 1 place into fifth, and thanks to that great result for myself, Steve Bezic for Beeswax Racing leaps up the table. The data off the website said I moved up 4 places. I can assure you it's a lot more than that. I think the data may have gone a bit scrambled there. About 20 places I've moved up there, so right into the top 10 into 6, so I'm very happy with that. In 7th place, Felix Schmijak has got 96 points. Steelco is in 8th. Thomas McCready, another good result for him. He finished 3rd. He moves up into 9th place. 27 places, he moves up the table. Steelco moved up 13. And Lord Nem drops down 3 places. Didn't race this week. Where was my teammate when I needed him? So the Beeswax racer also inside the top 10 of a Drivers' Championship. Looking at the teams, no change at the top for Celtic Bromance, McKinley and Steve Carey, 335 points, a very strong lead now in the Teams Championship. Beeswax Racing have moved into 2nd place. Despite no Lord Nem this week, a great result for me, moves me just ahead of Amino, Assetto, Motta Hirschsteller, Furkan Hosman and Berke Arras. Drop down 1 place into 3rd. Gently Bentley, Paul Martin and Manuel Duque move up 1 place into 4th. While the Manuel Rutter Racing Academy, Philip Reuter and we've lost Jonas Colwald, they drop down to 5th. Fuzzy Llamas, Viking Ramp, Stuart Pietzke remain in 6th. And rounding out the table, Hexagon Nation, Chris Jenkins and Tobias Harkinson remain in 7th place. That's it from Laguna Seca. Next up, it's the epic race around Spa. It's going to be 90 minutes long with potential changeable weather. Let's see how that one goes. Will I continue a somewhat amazing run of results following a somewhat disappointing first round? We'll have to see. Live broadcast will be along on the race evening on Tuesday, and hopefully there'll be a race with full commentary a few days later. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Please leave a comment below on who you think is going to do well in the Drivers and Teams Championships, and like, subscribe and all that good business. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Cheerio.